All right, let's go to the domestic side of things. There's a court election in Wisconsin coming up.
Okay, a lot of the coverage on this on either side is going to be about how the other side is corrupt. We consider ourselves post duopoly because we are willing to look at the fact that the entire system is corrupt, and most accusations from both sides are actually a confession. So there is a judge's race going on in Wisconsin that is a great example of the fact that the system is irredeemable and no one's coming to save you. In Wisconsin Supreme Court race, both sides take aim at the other's billionaire backers. This is by far the most expensive judge's race in the history of the country. I've seen estimates over $80 million is going into this race. Now, really, the focus has been on Elon Musk, but George Soros has money in this. Reid Hoffman has money in this. Pritzker has money in this. But as far as Elon goes, so yes, is this an example of why no one should have this kind of money? Why you can't have an electoral system where people can spend unlimited money? Yeah, on both sides, it's an example of that. Wisconsin state law doesn't allow car manufacturers to own dealerships. Elon Musk wants to be exempt from that law. The case will end up in Wisconsin Supreme Court. And that is why he has given Brad Schimmel, that's the Republican candidate, 20 million. So basically, there's a what I would consider a kind of antiquated law. Apparently, it predates World War II. That is essentially a protection racket for car dealerships. This is why you generally don't see dealerships that are directly coming from a car brand.
Right.
Usually, it's a franchise or an independent operator because they have laws in a lot of states that don't allow that. Now, Tesla's model is much more like Apple. They want Apple stores. They want Tesla
Right.
stores. They
Right.
don't want Teslas sold in Bob's house of cars, right?
Right. They want a
So
robot to pour you a glass of water when you come in. You know, it's the
exactly.
experience.
It's the experience. They want Grok to tell you that you need True Coat.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
so, so Elon has in some places successfully lobbied, in other places successfully sued, but right after he was told he couldn't have a dealership there, uh, Tesla filed a lawsuit, and then he starts getting very interested in this judge's race for obvious reasons. Just days before Musk's group started spending on the Supreme Court race, electric car manufacturer Tesla sued Wisconsin over its decision to not allow it to open dealerships. All right, so pretty obvious connection there. Elon Musk tries to make it a free and fair election issue um, because the conservative Supreme Court that had gotten voted out 2 years ago um, had put a ban on drop boxes for ballots, and this court brought it back. Even though Republicans have repeatedly brought this before the court, and there has been no evidence that there are massive ballots of dead people or whatever else they want you to believe. But of course, Elon's not saying, hey, which I think he has some justification to say I should be able to sell the cars, but he's not going to tell you that. Very important to vote Republican for the Wisconsin Supreme Court to prevent voting fraud. That's what it's about. Elon is just a civic minded guy who wants to make sure that elections are fair, not that he can sell his cars the way he wants to. Then the boss weighed in. He may be more concerned with redistricting and abortion issues, which will also probably come before this court. There is a very important election for state Supreme Court on April 1st, and early voting is now underway. Brad Schimmel is running against radical left liberal Susan Crawford, who has repeatedly given women beaters and domestic abusers light sentences. She is the hand-picked voice of the leftists who are out to destroy your state and our country. And if she wins, the movement to restore our nation will bypass Wisconsin. Don't get left behind, Wisconsin. You might wind up with all of your Social Security offices intact. All
Yeah.
voters who believe in common sense should get out to vote early for a Brad Schimmel, and Elon retweeted that, quote tweeted it. Now, at this point, two Musk-packed groups, America PAC and Building America's Future, have combined to spend nearly $20 million to support Brad Schimmel, the Republican candidate for the Wisconsin court seat. Now, as I say, mostly on the left side, you're only going to hear about that. Bernie weighs in. If Elon Musk can spend more than $19 million to buy a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, what election can he not buy? This is not just about a woman's right to control her own body. This is about saving our democracy. Wisconsin, say no to Musk. Elect Susan Crawford. Now, what he's not going to tell you is what somebody replied to him. So you were mad about these donations also then. Now, I haven't confirmed these numbers, but the spirit of this is true, and the numbers may be as well. I just want to make that clear. According to the poster, confirmed donors to liberal Susan Crawford's campaign, George Soros, 4,451,000, Reid Hoffman, over 14 million, J.B. Pritzker, over 6 million, Carla Jurvetson, over 7 million. So yeah, I mean, that's the hypocrisy. J.B. Pritzker, they had him go on stage at the DNC to brag about being a real billionaire. That's where all of this falls flat. It's just like George Clooney when he's coming out speaking about suppressing the press, but he would never speak out for, say, Truthdig or any of the other outlets that have had their income devastated by outlets he supports spreading misinformation about them in order to cost them advertising revenue. Same thing, Bernie, he's right. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to buy elections, but you'll never hear the name George Soros come out of Bernie's mouth. And that really undermines his ability to reach beyond a certain bubble, a certain base. So here you go. Susan Crawford campaign reports raising a record $24 million in the Supreme Court race. What is not known is how much of Crawford's money came in big dollar donations funneled through the state Democratic Party. She had reported in February that she has received 6- and 7-figure contributions from Democratic mega donor George Soros, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, and LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman. State election laws permit state parties to collect and transfer unlimited amounts of cash. So both sides are doing it. And this is giving them a lot of money to run ads that are kind of darkly hilarious, I must say. So this is an ad that they are running against Crawford.
7-year-old girl attends a birthday party at a local swimming pool. She's sexually assaulted by a repeat child. The monster faces 100 years in prison, but Judge Susan Crawford let him off with just 4. That was Crawford's choice. Now he's back on the street, walking distance from a school. And Judge Crawford, she wants a promotion. Susan Crawford, dangerous decisions, wrong for Wisconsin.
All right, so that's what they call in the business the Willie Horton. They've given her the Willie Horton. So Ben Wickler, who is the chair of the Democratic Party in Wisconsin, tweets out, they're calling him knee pad Brad. He's going with when they go low, we go lower.
Yeah.
Brad Schimmel said he had to buy knee pads so he could crawl, saying please, please, please to GOP donors. And Elon Musk responded.
Oh, is that what he needed him for? To crawl? Oh, okay. I missed that. That doesn't really come through in the nickname.
No. Musk is buying off Schimmel, but Wisconsin doesn't have to. All right. Now, they use audio in here, which I don't know enough about the race. It seems like they got him on tape saying this, but I don't want to absolutely confirm that because I didn't have time to really dig into it. But it seems like that's what's in the ad.
Schimmel is corrupt and will do anything to get on the Supreme Court.
I have to invest in e-pads. I have to crawl around begging people. Please, please, please.
And who did he beg? Elon Musk, a man who needs a guaranteed vote on the Supreme Court because his company is suing the state of Wisconsin. Schimmel begged and Musk unloaded $10 million to rig the court. So how much does it cost to buy off a corrupt politician? Just ask Kneepad Brad.
Please, please, please.
That is unusually on point for Democrats, I got to say. I would expect that more from the Republicans.
Well, they had a budget to work with.
They had a budget this time. All right. So Elon kicks it up to a whole other level of corruption. Now, back in the day here in New York City, Tammany Hall used to actually set up hay wagons outside of local saloons and invite everyone to get a free drink inside, which is barely legal, right? I mean, really. And the way they were doing it was illegal because they would be up on the hay wagon saying, all right, everyone go and get a free drink on us and then go vote for so-and-so, right?
Right.
Elon is practically doing that. He's practically doing that. He's offering every person in Wisconsin $100 to sign a petition. And the petition is against activist judges. Petition in opposition to activist judges. Judges should interpret laws as written, not rewrite them to fit their personal or political agendas. By signing below, I'm rejecting the actions of activist judges who impose their own views and demanding a judiciary that respects its role, interpreting, not legislating. So apparently under this formulation, as Elon would have it, with absolutely no evidence that there is voter fraud going on as a result of drop boxes, which increase voter participation, a non-activist judge would be someone who decides that there shouldn't be any drop boxes because some people claim that there's fraud that no one can prove. That's what a non-activist judge would look like. But even more than offering $100 to everyone who signs it, they also started a $1 million drawing for a random signatory. So now somebody won that. Doge designer. Breaking. Elon Musk's America PAC is giving away a chance to win $1 million for signing their petition in opposition to activist judges in Wisconsin. The first winner was announced today, and the next winner will be announced in 2 days. Scott A. from Green Bay, Wisconsin, is the first $1 million spokesperson for signing our petition in opposition to activist judges. Stay tuned between now and April 1st for more surprise announcements from Wisconsin. And Elon weighs in. Next $1 million award will be announced in 2 days. All right. They're going to be partying down at the Piggly Wiggly, that's for sure.
He's going to have to sell a lot of cars to get this money back.
Well, that's what he's counting on. So now, hey, this is where the hypocrisy is on all sides. This is why, to us, I think, if you're running around pretending one of these sides is not completely owned by your class enemy, assuming you're not of this class, and I don't think most people who watch our show are. So here's the ad that
maybe Landrew. Yeah.
Maybe Landrew. Well, Landrew, that's Elon's burner.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's the ad that they ran about those terrible Democrats and their donors.
Soros, J.B. Pritzker, Reid Hoffman, left-wing billionaires are putting millions behind Susan Crawford because Crawford is a leftist ideologue who'll turn Wisconsin into Illinois. Stop her now, before it's too late. Vote April 1st.
Okay, so you notice they don't mention the fact that Elon Musk is pretty much coming as close to bribing people for votes as you can get. Pretty much right up to the line of literally purchasing votes. They don't mention that in the ad. And the hypocrisy, as I said, goes both ways. Now, I don't know what you do about George Soros. I feel as strongly about George Soros as I do about Elon Musk. I don't know how you can really hurt him financially, especially when Trump picked his protege for his Treasury Secretary. Doesn't look like there's anyone who's really going to take down George Soros, given that Donald Trump seems quite friendly with George Soros. He would pick the guy who was running his London office when he famously crashed the pound as the Treasury Secretary. So I don't think you can get at them through this administration. Looks like, it's like wrestling. It's all for show. When you get to the level of these billionaires, they're all friends. It's a big club and you ain't in it, as George Carlin said. But I do know how you can make it harder for Elon to put this kind of money into elections. It's called TeslaTakedown.com. They advocate for, as you can see, peaceful protest. Peaceful protest. That is what we're for, all within the bounds of the law. This Saturday, the 29th, they are doing protests at over 500 locations worldwide. And we can announce now that we will be covering it here from New York. There will be several protests in New York, in fact. Starting at 11:45 on Saturday, we will be doing live on-the-ground coverage of the protest at the dealership. If you're looking for a protest near you, there's a very convenient app on the website. You can put in your zip code and find the closest one to your location. So that is one way that you can make it harder for Elon to buy elections. Like I said, I would love to do that to Soros too. He doesn't make cars. If anyone has any suggestions, put it in the comments. I would love to hurt Soros financially too. I don't think for any politician, any political party, none of these oligarchs should be dumping money into our elections. It doesn't matter who they're supporting. But because Elon does manufacture this product, we can peacefully protest and boycott against sales of that product. So we are going to go and cover that action in Manhattan again, 11:45 Saturday. We will be going live from New York.
Yep. We will be streaming that on Saturday, and the line is always that your safety is at risk if the wrong judge gets in. I mean, Elon can't come out and say, I want to sell cars, so that's why I'm pouring millions of dollars. Although, right. I mean, given the just embarrassing cult of personality that MAGA has become, he might be able to mobilize people around that to some extent.
He might,
but not to a large extent. In general, it's still, as you mentioned, Willie Horton. All of MAGA is a Willie Horton ad at this point. Like, it seems like as the stock market struggles, as inflation remains high, as people's economic prospects are not improving, and this is something, again, entirely predictable for a year out now, it seems like their only real pitch now is vote for us or someone's going to beat you or kill you. Like, that's basically it.
Or they're going to ruin Snow White.
Yeah, or they're going to ruin Snow White. But basically, it's a crime thing now. I mean, this is basically like when you look at their messaging, even the messaging around the deportations, they're not talking about your job being threatened or your wages being depressed. They're not talking about that. They can't talk about that. You know why? Because they're laying out a rapid path to citizenship for white South African farmers who have been discriminated against. So the economic argument goes out the window. It's now a crime and safety argument that they're making. And these judges' races are good test cases for that. So this Wisconsin court race is going to be a huge test in a couple of different respects. Number one, just on the issue, right? Is crime and safety going to be enough to push the conservative over the top? And two, and this is kind of looped in with that, is Elon going to be able to buy this seat? Can you just buy a court seat? And we will see. We will see. It's going to be a big test.
Well, but this is why I covered it the way that I did. No matter who wins, somebody bought a court seat. It's just a question of who's going to buy it.
Well, I mean,
we do not have a democracy. Like, that's to me, that's in the end, that's what this story is about. Like, the idea that we have a democracy when clearly this is spy versus spy among the oligarchy where they're just one-upping each other's bets and just upping the ante on how much they're going to spend at the auction for a judgeship. Come on. Like, the only conversation is how do you overturn that system and defeat these people, not a particular wing of these people in their entirety. Because look, this Crawford judge gets in. How do you think she's going to rule on labor issues? There are labor issues that are expected to go before that court. How's she going to rule on that when she got $24 million from these oligarchs?
Well, obviously, it becomes the more money that floods into these races, the more corrupt they become. But in terms of a test case, what I'm talking about is, it's a test to see what the influence, of Elon and Trump is in that state.
Well, and how much backlash there's going to be.
Yeah, how much backlash there's going to be. Wisconsin went red this time. It went blue in 2020, went red in 2016. It's a true swing state. A Democrat won in a state Senate district in Pennsylvania. We covered this on the Patron show last night. In a district that had not gone blue since 1979.
Right.
And so, these special elections, these judge elections, especially when, national figures like Elon, like Soros, like Pritzker are pouring this kind of money in, that becomes a real test to see which way the winds are blowing.
Sure.
The Democrats did very, very well in those Pennsylvania special elections. This is going to be an even bigger test because this is a statewide race.